Yes, sir. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. I'm not sure where you are. You're a man all over the world. Good. Welcome, Selwyn.
Yeah, good evening. I'm actually in Toronto, and you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. I'm sure too can the viewers.
Yeah. So good evening, Paul, and let me congratulate you on that victory that you achieved today. Certainly, it's a product of your courageousness, your tenacity, and your belief that you strongly held that the actions that the president took against you was a violation of the rule of law, a violation of your rights, and you were not going to countenance it. So we did a lot of work on your behalf, myself, Mr. Todd, Mr. Smart, Mr. Toby King, and other people in the background that were not in the forefront, but we did a lot of work. And certainly this decision bears it out. And this decision was a complete and total vindication of your rights.
Thank you very much, Selwyn, for that. I want to take this opportunity to, on behalf of myself, on the other members of the Police Commission, Service Commission, to thank you and the other lawyers, Mr. Dexter Todd, Mr. Dexter Smart, and we can't forget Toby King, who in the early days was there toiling day and night to put those to do the research and so. So we want to thank you, and we are forever grateful for the competence and for your tenacity because you stuck with it through thick and thin. I know sometimes we had some hurdles to overcome, and we together overcame those hurdles. So, Selwyn, I have to thank you very much for that. You know, one of the things I thank myself or I praise myself about is so involving you in this process very early. If you recall, very early I reached out to you, and I am so grateful that you immediately accepted to assist me initially, and then the other members of the Police Service Commission. So thank you very much.
Well, only because it's you. I know people don't know, but we go way back. We go way back since I was a teenager. And so I hold you in very high, I held you in high regards then and now and throughout the 20 something years that I know you. So in other contexts, in other situations, I would have said no, because as you know, President Ali and I were good and so on and so forth. So, um, uh, by the way, I had a chat with President Ali, and I spoke today. By the way, uh, we tend to speak when these decisions come down or at crucial points. So we had a conversation today again, but it's only because of the high regards with which I held you, and the high regards for which I hold the Constitution of Guyana, that I took this case on. This was one of the first cases. I mean, there have been several cases where it could be because of bad advice that the president got. The Constitution was violated by him in terms of how he operated. It was done. It was violated in the appointment of the police service, the new police service commission. It was violated in terms of how Hicken was appointed. But your situation was the first case under this new administration where the constitution was violated in such a flagrant manner. And certainly, I'm glad that we took this case through. I mean, as you told the audience, because I've been listening throughout. I just didn't come on the StreamYard, but as you told the audience, there was a lot of rivers to cross and a lot of hurdles to overcome. I mean, certainly they fought and they fought very hard, and you stayed the course. And I think that's why I sort of big you up, because certainly a lot of people would have left, and somebody got to change that thing. They're listing me as Clinton Conway, retired assistant commissioner of police. And let me say, I would have loved to retire as an assistant commissioner of
Yes,
police. But
I saw the thing there. My operator, the man who assists me, I think he had it the usual stream. he added the now, Selvin. I was trying to give the viewers a synopsis of what took place in court today. You are more competent to do so. Just explain to our viewers exactly what happened today and perhaps the way forward. What's next?
Well, what happened today was the court considered whether or not the decision that was taken by the president violated the rule of law, violated the constitution, and violated the fair trial rights of the commissioners and the chairman of the Police Service Commission. And the court went through the laws that govern the appointment, the laws that govern the president's office, the law that governs the removal of the Police Service Commission members, and found that the president acted in a manner that was unlawful. Imagine that. President Ali acted in a manner that is unlawful, and the court so found. How about that? That he acted ultra vires, Section 225 of the Constitution, because certainly Section 225 sets out the process for removal of the Police Service Commission members. And the judge went through that step by step. What had to happen, the prescribed authorities, the Judicial Service Commission being involved, and then a tribunal being appointed. The court found that the president's actions were arbitrary, and those are very strong legal terms, that the president's conduct rendered an unfairness to Mr. Slow and the members of the Police Service Commission, and that when the president took the decision to suspend the chairman and the commissioners, he violated their constitutional rights to the equal protection of the law and the due process of the law. So it's not only that he violated the law in terms of how he dealt with the office, but he also violated these commissioners and the chairman constitutional rights to equal protection of the law. And those are no small findings, and that his decision was null, void, and of no legal effect. It means that the commission was never suspended. All right,
Well,
that is what
yes,
it means.
that's interesting. That's very, very interesting because one of the questions that has been popping up from the time this decision was rendered, people have been calling me, police ranks have been calling to find out what happens to the promotions that were made on the 28th of June, 2021. Some people are very interested in that aspect of it. So perhaps you can explain that.
Well, I think what we're gonna do is, obviously, this we don't have the written decision yet. This is just a summary of the decision. So what we will have to do is we'll have to study the full decision, which is over 50 pages, and we'll have to engage with the attorney general, and we'll have to engage with other the police service commission and other parties in this matter. We're going to be engaged with them on costs, and we'll have to engage with them on any sort of collateral impacts of this decision, because the thing about it is, the only relief really that was granted in this case is the first relief that Mr. Slow had asked for in his application, which is a declaration that the purported suspensions of the chairman and members of the Police Service Commission, namely Paul Slow, Michael Somersall, Claire Jarvis, Vesta Adams, Clinton Conway, from performing the functions of their respective offices in the commission, which His Excellency the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana did order by letter on the June 16th, 2021, were contrary to and in violation of and ultra vires the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and in particular Article 225 subsection 6 and 210 subsection 3, and therefore of no force or effect. So that's That's the only order that was granted in this case today. There was no consequential orders. It doesn't mean that consequential orders cannot follow. We can approach the court if it's unclear as to any consequences that should flow from the fact that the court said that this commission was whatever the president did is of no force or effect. So there was no suspension.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Thank you very much. I'm sure I suspect many of the ranks who are affected are on this live and listening, so that would have clarified some of the questions they were raising. Now, another issue I want you to address. I know we discussed this some time ago when we saw the Prime Minister Mark Phillips swearing to an affidavit, which actually said that the meeting that I claimed that I had, well, the meeting that I had with the president on the 16th of September, he's saying that that statement is scandalous and that meeting never took place, that he's swearing to an affidavit to say that. And we have the evidence to show that the president himself acknowledged that such a meeting did take place. I want to hear your views on that part of it, Selwyn.
Well, that situation where the prime minister, and the advice of the attorney general, wrote that in an affidavit was quite unfortunate, to be quite frank with you, because obviously the prime minister would have known that the president wrote a press statement saying that he met with you, and he mentioned meeting with you in about 5 or 6 paragraphs in his statement on June 1st. No, I think May 31st, 2021 it was, right? So he mentioned several times his meetings. He mentioned, number one, that his meetings with you was in the course of carrying out his constitutional duties and trying to understand what the various service commissions do. He mentions that he spoke with you a few times, and that he acknowledged that he spoke to you, but he differs on what the nature and content of the conversations were. And so, I mean, the only thing that the recourse that you have really for an affidavit that contains false evidence is to ask for a case to be made of perjury. But I suspect that you're as magnanimous as you are, and as nice as you are, and as far back you go with your relationship with Mark Phillips, and that relationship, you may be able to reconcile that and make it water under the bridge. But I agree with you that it was painful to see that in an affidavit, and we did address it in our oral submissions, and we haven't seen the written judgment of His Honor yet. His Honor may well have addressed that issue in his written judgment. That's over 50 pages. So um, let's see what His Honor says about that, and then we'll figure a way forward.
Yeah, well, I like that, and I like the fact that you're saying that I'm so magnanimous. Perhaps I used to be, but when you see these things, as you rightly pointed out, they can be very painful, because basically what the prime minister is saying in this affidavit is that Slow is a liar, and you and I know that that is not so. And the president confirmed that we had the meeting, and one would have thought that a mere casual investigation would have revealed that yes, this meeting did in fact take place, and the president did acknowledge that the meeting took place. I can only think that the prime minister just signed blindly, as we would say. Something was taken to him by the affidavit was taken to him, and without reading, he signed. That is the only credit. Well, it's not even a credit. That's the only thing explanation I can give. Because if he had gone through the affidavit, you would have seen that another thing claimed in the affidavit, as I alluded to earlier, he claimed that an investigation commenced against Slow and Conway in April of 2020. That is not so. That is a lie. And you, as my lawyer, has always been advising me when affidavits are prepared to go through it meticulously to ensure that all the statements made therein are accurate. And that is what I have done. So I have to thank you for that. I never signed anything. And you would know, Selwyn, that on many occasions when the affidavits are drafted, I would come back and I would say, look, this thing is not accurate. We need to amend this part of it. Selwyn?
Well, you've been a most engaging client. You're one of those clients that number one, you're very responsive to counsel, but number two, you push back too. I mean, we don't always get our way with you. I mean, sometimes you have your thoughts, your opinions, and your ideas, and you want it to be reflected, and you make sure it gets reflected. But yeah, you're right that you know a client or anyone that swears an affidavit should ensure that the contents are pretty clear and that it could be supported. You'll recall a situation recently where the current Attorney General of Trinidad got into trouble in the United States because he swore an affidavit that was patently false, and the court criticized him for it. And the Trinidad Bar Association actually, there was a meeting where a motion was debated to remove him or to recommend his removal from that office because he can't say his excuse was he was sitting in some hotel, and because he was sitting in a hotel, he was distracted and couldn't possibly read the affidavit carefully that he swore was true. It's like I said, it's unfortunate that the prime minister swore an affidavit that contains information that is false, could be proven to be false. Um, I don't know where we go from here with it. Obviously, there are recourse, there are remedies that are available if you want to avail yourself of it. But certainly, you know, um, if it doesn't affect your reputation in any significant way, you're going to have to weigh the scales, particularly given the significant judgment that came down today. It's one of the rarest. It's a significant decision, but it's rare. It called for a lot of judicial courage to say that the president violated the constitution in all these ways, and certainly um, it's not a slow doctrine.
Well, yes, because let me say this, kudos to the judge. I think we were always confident that if the Constitution was properly interpreted, this would have been the outcome. But the thing in Guyana now, we have to be honest, we have to be candid and say that some people believe it is a perception that some of these decisions are not likely to go in accordance with the law. And that is the worrying thing. So even though when we looked at the matter objectively, we felt only one ruling could have been handed down, but at the back of your mind, you're saying that maybe something is going to intervene. So I'm glad that the judge ruled um, according to the law, according to the Constitution, because the matters that he outlined, Article 225, is clear. I don't have to be an attorney to read and understand it. Any ordinary person with common sense and with comprehension can read and understand and know that the Constitution wasn't followed. And they too actually admitted that. They actually admitted, but they tried to create a case to say that the commission was so rogue and the situation was so dire with police officers challenging the police office commission. They tried to create this this narrative that things were so precarious, things were so bad that the president, notwithstanding the article of the articles of the Constitution, was compelled to act and did what he did. That's Salvin?
Yeah, and I think it goes to something fundamental. It goes to something. Your comments go to something fundamental. Judges must decide cases based on facts and the law, and without any influence from outsiders. So a judge should not be influenced by what the president may think or how the president may respond to him or her, how the attorney